we are going to continue with our study of the book Alert by the Spirit Joanna de Angelis and the medium Divaldo Franco. As we normally mention, this is a book that has been written. It was written to give us more reflections, to lead us to reflect about certain situations of life in order for us to be able to live our life the best way possible and learn and meditate, all things that will help us in this process of spiritual perfection. So today our lesson is about self-love, but self-love in a selfish way, not the self-love that normally we mention here, that we have to love ourselves, that we have to love ourselves. So let us start seeing what Joanna de Angelis is proposing, and then we can talk more about it. So disentangle yourself from self-love as soon as possible. So here, the self-love is more than narcissistic kind of, love. A bad advisor is the cause of countless problems which afflict humans. The bad advisor is incarcerated in vanity, disguised by vile excuses and absurd accusations. The bad advisor can create animosity and despondency. So this exaggerated, narcissistic way of loving and praising ourselves is many times can be a burden in our lives, because with that, we tend to believe ourselves to be more special than others, deserving of extra consideration, deserving of all the attentions. And many times, as she says here, it will lead us to be to vanity, to other behaviors that are actually we will find in the origin of those behaviors exactly this kind of, the way we position ourselves, we see ourselves. Is somehow clear so far where she's taking us in this journey today? Yeah.
What do you think she's referring to when she mentions the bad advisor? Do you think there's a specific kind of person that she's alluding to?
When she talks here about this bad advisor, in my opinion, she is relating. She's talking about an emotion. This way, an emotion, a behavior, this way of us, placing ourselves in the world. Many of us, we are sometimes too much self-centered, right?
Yeah, I think that, sometimes, because how we have our inner voice, I think we hear, it's the constant battle, right, in our head. So I think that it's more like, if you channel the good advisor, it's of course much better than the bad advisor. I don't think it's a person. It's more like your conscience, your vibration with the right spirit. Does that make sense, Josiah? I don't know.
Yeah, but just one thing, it's important for us to pay attention here that we are talking about ourselves. I mean, we knowing that there are spirits all over, and that they can and will, as much as they are capable of trying to influence us in our thoughts, we are the ultimate responsible for everything that we do. Even if we say I have two voices here that are not mine, okay? The good angel, the bad angel. At the end of the day, if I follow one of the other, the decision was mine. I have to own this decision. So, but here more specifically, she's talking about our own inner demons or angels, but it's all about ourselves. So sometimes, when you're walking down the street and someone bumping into you, and the first thing that comes to your mind, hey, come on, this person didn't notice me, right? It's like when we say that, or when we feel that, in a way, it demonstrates, what she's saying here, the importance that we place in ourselves in the world, right? Why exactly that piece of of the road belong just to me, right? I could do something about it. So here it is more in this sense, like Andrea explained, but remembering that we are the ones behind it. And when we give way to the voice of self-importance, this self-love, I don't know, what do you think about this word self-love? Does it bring the meaning that it should in the English language?
Well, when I'm giving myself a big pat on the back for something that I think I did that was just great, I immediately get this thought. I see something that I wasn't very good at, that I didn't do well, that I could have done more. So it kind of jolts you back to reality that, no, you're not as great as you think you are.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay. Yeah, Sonia?
What I understand about the bad advisor is when the person believes you are the best,
Mm-hmm.
then you close the door to improve yourself. You are blind to see how many items you need to improve and to work inside yourself to be a better person. That's why I believe it's a bad advisor. You close the doors.
Mm-hmm. For the Americans, do you think that perhaps self-worth would be best in this sense?
I think self-love is the appropriate term. I was looking at the Portuguese there in the bottom too. And I think that maybe selfishness, maybe, but that doesn't quite get it. I feel like maybe self-love is the best word to use.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Because the translation is right, but I have never seen that used in this sense. And just my concern is that, when we read self-love, people may go in the opposite way of thinking that we are talking about the soul needs self-love. We need to love ourselves, okay? The love ourselves is very important, but it's not the same thing as self-love here. The self-love here is more in the sense of pride.
Right. We're not so special.
Sorry?
We're not as special as we would like to think we are.
That's why I don't know if we should keep this or not, but whatever you say, you're the expert.
Sarah,
Yes.
can we say that this self-love has more to do with the psychological mechanism of the mind, where you did not get enough love as you was growing up by your parents,
No, that in here, no. Here we are really talking about, you know, more in a, like I said, narcissistic way of just thinking about ourselves, of, you know, selfishness, like Jeff said, of pride. Is more the pride in a way. Okay, let's read a little more and see how it goes, and then we can perhaps. Okay, if you observe a violent quarrel, you will find its cause in wounded self-love. In ill-fated aggression, you will detect vengeful self-love. In the face of a refusal to do good, you will encounter callous self-love. Through the mouth of slander, which disturbs order and stimulates slander, we can hear the frivolous or hurtful self-love.
May I?
Yes, please, Philip.
An idea? In
Yes.
these last few self-loves, would pride be the real thing?
Yes. Yes.
In English, pride would be the word you would use.
Yes. Yes. I think we should change all of them, even the title of the, you know, you have to understand that every time that I get involved with a translation, and I always find it very difficult for when I have to give the translation to the people that own the copyright, when they see a word that is too much different from the word that is in the original, their first reaction tends to be, it's wrong. It's not this, but yeah, in this case, I don't think we can. And if comes to worse, I'll just have to explain to them what it is, right?
There are many differences in languages, and
Yes.
one word in one language may have a different meaning in another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But here, actually, the idea is exactly that, is exactly, you know, pride. Is the same thing that we see when we talk about, you know, the narcissistic way of positioning ourselves. Is everything the result of pride? So let's, when we actually substitute the word by the one that is really what we are talking about here, I think everything becomes clearer in terms of how much we know that pride can get in our way. For this reason that we were explaining before, the way we position ourselves in the world, the way of, you know, we believe we are better than others, self-centeredness, you know, all of those things that prevent us to move forward, to become better. And pride in this sense can be the worst enemy that we can have.
Yes, Josiah, I'm glad that Phil did interject and explain that it is pride, because I was confused at the beginning when we talk about self-love, where I believe that if first thing you love yourself, you'll put out that love to others. So it was kind of confusing at the beginning, but I'm glad he explained that, because I'm listening to your explanation, but somehow it didn't coincide. It didn't go together. But it is pride, absolutely.
And in this sense, it's even good because, you know, the way we use the word pride or understand the word pride in Portuguese, many times it can come with a negative connotation. Right. But in English, we have both, with the negative connotation and the positive connotation. So it is good because, as you see here, it was presented. It's always it has an adjective that complements, showing you that we are talking about the negative way of pride, which is wounded pride, vengeful pride, callous pride, frivolous or hurtful pride, not the pride that we want to have for having accomplishing something that we have been striving, all of those things. So in there as well, we have to be very careful when addressing pride in the sense to make it clear that we are talking about the positive or the negative connotation of pride. But here, again, we are talking about the negative connotation of pride, the pride that is going to get in the way, the pride that will, hurt our vanity, hurt our feelings, hurt ourselves all over because we believe we are not deserving receiving what we deserve.
Yasada,
Yes.
to me, pride sounds more like a humanistic, point of view, because if we didn't have a physical body, we had nothing to be proud of. So this is more of a physical, it deals more with the physical body, having a physical body. But otherwise, as a spirit, there's nothing to be proud because you don't have the physical.
Not really. Not really, Orlando. Like we always comment here, all those emotions belong to the spirit. And when we read, even now, for instance, we are studying in the Spiritist group of New York. Last Sunday, we studied one of the chapters of the book, Liberation, that talks about a zone in the spirit realm that is controlled by very low-level spirits. And you see the display of pride there, the display of, being powerful, even in the way sometimes they position and they dress themselves. So, and again, there is always one thing that you mention in terms of having a physical body. The thing that you are forgetting is that in the spirit realm, we also have a physical body. So we are not deprived of a physical body in the spirit realm as well. So this one may be more, so to say, dense, but it is still a physical body. Okay, and I mean, we cannot say that only the primates or the Neanderthal man that they were not physical, or only them were physical. To their view, we are almost like spirits, right? Our body are much more perfect than the ones they had. And so on. So the physical body accompanies us. We have a physical body in the spirit as well. So that would not be an issue. But having said that, even making it clear that we still have a physical body, not this one, but another one, a physical body in the spirit realm, it still is not the physical body in any of the levels that we belong, physical or non-physical, that are in charge of everything but the spirit. And everything that is related to how we feel and behavior, there is only one being behind that, which is the immortal spirit. So let us continue with the next one. A crime, a harmful action, a conflict between people, false humility, false humility, the abandonment of tasks, systematic persecution are the inevitable effects of spiteful pride. Let me start with the honest. Oh, sorry. Pride only accomplishes a meritorious work when it immediately reaps the laurels. It demands general recognition and the command of the activity it self-promotes. So again, it keeps on talking about the negative things that we can see as a result of pride. How we are going to behave in relation to the world, in relation to others, in the our professional view. We will only feel satisfied when immediately we are praised by the things that we do. We always are demanding recognition on the part of people, and that will help to self-promote us. So she's presenting all the different aspects that we can find pride in this sense. Any comments or? It is a very difficult subject, this one, because we are all there, right? It's very much like Benjamin Franklin said in relation to humility. Humility, which is the opposite of pride, is so hard to achieve. Then when you finally believe yourself to have achieved it, you are demonstrating lack of humility. Right? For the simple fact of saying, oh my God, I was humble today, right? Not anymore, right? So this is really hard. It's really tricky. And I love the way that the advice that Benjamin Franklin gives to us in order to achieve humility. And we are talking about it now because it's the opposite of pride. And he says, he makes a note to himself, what it is to himself to and how can he reach humility. Imitate Jesus and Socrates. This is what he says. Jesus is obvious. Socrates is the one, with that famous lesson. Yes, I'm the wisest person on earth because I'm the only one that recognizes that I know nothing. Right? So this is the declaration of humility. Any more comments? Okay, so let's go to the one. After the accomplishment, it becomes demanding. It demands higher interest for a small investment. For any small or no reason at all, it walks angrily, throwing away the bomb of ill-contained anger and senseless recriminations. When we have too much pride, and we are in constant need of being recognized and applauded and all that, it doesn't end there. It becomes almost like an addiction. I want more. I want people to keep on praising me for one small thing that I did, I don't know how many years in the past, so this is why it is very difficult to be satisfied. So any comments?
I believe in when she described like so deeply, then what popped in my mind? No, I mean, not like this, but in the other chapter, when she mentioned about discussion, every time when someone point the finger of your mistakes, then you feel like hurt, and then I can recognize myself with these kind of feelings, and then it's so bad That's why we are going keeping quiet here, because then we see how much we need to improve ourselves, how many work we need to do. And in small items, it's not the big picture, but kind small items in our daily lives.
The gospel, according to Spiritism, pride is considered to be one of the worst things, imperfections that we may have, right? So it's the origin of the others as well. Because here, let's say that I come and say, oh, Sonia, I loved your participation today. You said wonderful things. And then on the back of, the rest of us, people can be thinking, why should you just complimented Sonia? I said something myself as well. There is always something that is brewing inside of us, right? In terms of we want attention. We want recognition, right? Yeah, Jeff.
I find for myself that I'm like most prideful when I fear that I'm failing, or when I have if I'm in a phase of life where I have like low self-esteem. And I've noticed that in others too. Like my previous boss was very prideful, and I understood that a lot of it was based in just fear of being seen as an imposter, or fear of failing. And so I find that, like I said, within myself, in those moments when I'm the weakest regarding how I view myself in the world, pride can kind of like jump in and kind of artificially help me to feel strong, connected.
And it makes sense, right? Because when we are feeling like you're describing, is when we need that pat on the back saying, no, you can do it. Go, and, I'm sure you can achieve that if you put yourself into it. So, but this is exactly, the time that we need more, but perhaps the time that we will receive less, because at the end of the day, like you said, it's not the best time of our lives in terms of accomplishments. And so we can stay in a vicious circle, which can be very difficult, right? But yeah, it's very, very complicated, the way we feel. But we have to understand that at the origin of everything is actually, us having to tame our emotions. And pride is one of them. It has to be a constant exercise. Okay, someone bumped it in the street on you. What is the problem with that? Okay, you're not the center of the universe. Right? You're not the owner of the street. And it's okay. You don't know what the person is going through not to have seen you there. Okay, your colleague was praising something that actually was you that did. At the end of the day, sooner or later, people will realize that you were the one that did the work, because, a lie cannot subsist forever. All of those things, which are hard, and it's more our immediate responses. But if you start paying attention, that's why, again, and Joanna de Angelis is so much into that, in terms of inviting us to pay attention to our emotions, to our way of reacting to things, because they are showing our true colors, right? When we react hastily, it's showing who we are. And okay, we know there's much to be done, but the thing is, keep on going, right? Yes?
To me, pride has a sense of being proud and not being humble. I don't think Jesus had felt any pride in his accomplishment. This pride, again, has to do with the more of the human psychological aspect of, again, I gotta go back to the physical body with the mind, the organs. Yes.
As we said before, when we are referring to pride or being proud, because of the deficiency of languages per se, we have to be very clear that in this sense here that we are not analyzing, we are talking about the negative connotation of it versus the positive connotation of it. We can be proud of, an accomplishment that we did, and that is going to motivate us to keep on the right track. You can be proud of yourself when you can control your pride, for instance, right? And saying, "Oh my God, this is what I wanted to do because I did that, and it felt so good." Not, to position myself in a prideful situation. So this is more or less what we have to do. Let's see what.
I just want to say,
Wait,
I accept what you say, and I take back what I said.
Marlene, yes.
yes, with regard to problems in translation, I'm looking at that second item, and I'm wondering if maybe the word away doesn't belong there. Or am I just misinterpreting it?
For any small reason or no reason at all, walks away, angrily throwing away.
Okay, so if you take the word away out, that person is throwing the bombs of ill-contained.
Okay, throwing the bomb of ill-contained anger. Also angry, throwing the bomb. Okay, thank you, Marlene. Then I'm going to correct that.
Welcome.
Okay, so let us continuing here. If you have any other considerations, let me know. It is always armed against everything and everyone who does not applaud or does not acquiesce to its whims. It is a human imperfection which everyone should overcome. It resists healthy purposes because it hides and then it reappears under new modalities. So again, continuing talking, about pride or hurtful pride. When we need this kind of validation, it's very hard for us to feel fulfilled. And not to mention that we understand that we are far from being perfect. And in this sense, we can count on countless mistakes that we are going to be doing on our day-to-day lives. And when we are so much in desperate of recognition, applaud, validation, considering the lack of possibility for us to do and receive them in a sincere way, it is going to lead us to a lot of frustrations, right? Because, okay, I can come and say, "Oh, you look beautiful today." And in the back of my mind, I think I've never seen this person as horrible as today. But we can use all this, flattering, sycophant way of, addressing to people just because we know that this is what they want. Okay. Right, let's go to the now. Watch pride. It is a constant and perverse companion. Exercise fraternal love, giving and contributing more of yourself. When unchaining yourself from pride, you will allow experiences of euphoria, optimism, inner peace, and happiness. You will see the world clearly without the dark lenses of pride. What pride is okay, or it needs something else here?
What's good?
Good. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, it's not for nothing that the spirits all the time try to lead us to pay attention to pride, and to pay attention how we are responding to things. On the contrary, here they say when we do not allow ourselves, to be overtaken by pride, we will find peace and happiness and all the things that we are in need in order to feel better and in order to proceed. And you see, the problem with pride is that it requires too much from us. It requires something that we still are not capable of giving, which is almost perfection. We cannot, right? And we cannot be who we are. And worst thing of all is that by not allowing myself to analyze myself because of pride, because I don't want to see my, the dark side of Jusara, right? So if I do not allow myself to see the shadow, how can I eliminate the shadow? It's not going to happen. It's like, when people come to you, your family members come to you because, family members, they just say what goes on their mind, right? They don't have piety at all. They come to you and say, you need to do this, and that. And then we move them away from us because they are very inconvenient. Yes, Jeff?
I really like that in Spiritism, so often the solution is to be of service to other people. So like that first statement there about exercising fraternal love, giving, contributing, it's very, in some ways it's very simple. Like they say, like, let our actions speak louder than our words. I like that a lot about Spiritism. I certainly find for myself, like if I turn toward other people and try to be helpful, then a lot of my those negative thoughts or pride or other kinds of things can kind of fade away for a little bit. So I just wanted to mention that I really like that about Spiritism, and so often service is the solution.
I love that you brought this, Jeff, because it is amazing when we think about it. And why would that be, right? Because, when we provide service to others, when we pay attention to others, in this case, it's the best way for us to see that, there are other people in the world, that there are other people that are in need as well. There are people that are much more in need than we are. And when we start thinking about others, is the first step to stop thinking 24/7 only about us. And in this way, we start perceiving that they are also children of God, like I am, that they are also deserving of, help and assistance, like I wanted to me. It's when we will start learning to share things, right? Instead of just wanting things for myself. So yeah, it's wonderful that you brought that to us, because this fresh perspective as well. But so true. It's so true. It's the best way for, it's the best medicine. Is like I was thinking, is like an aspirin, right? We take aspirin for so many different ailments, right? This is the Spiritism aspirin. It is always going to help you somehow, And yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you.
Gisela, is the ego, can we think of the ego as interfering with self-love?
Yeah, sure. The ego is part of everything, right? The ego is what increases, when we think only about the ego and the self is when we are exercising, we may be exercising pride a lot, right? And again, it's always important to mention this here. We are not saying that is bad. That I mean, it is. We have to think about ourselves, and we are thinking about ourselves when we are thinking about getting better, about learning the real values of immortal life, and but then again, everything in a positive connotation. Jeff, you were going to say something else? No, okay. So let's continue here. Attract to traps, provoked by mockery, rudely criticized, exposed to ridicule, systematically persecuted, Jesus went on undisturbed because his was the love open to all. He offered to all dignifying opportunities, demonstrating that the greatest adversaries of humans are within themselves. He showed us that it is up to us with effort to turn our inner adversaries into friends and collaborators of our sentiments. So here, it's so interesting the way that Joanna de Angelis conduct that, because now if you have noticed, most of the message she finishes bringing the example of Jesus. And here she's saying to us, here is someone that could leave pride in the extreme. After all, he is the governor, the co-creator of planet Earth, of everything that exists here, the most evolved human being that has ever inhabited this earth, that knew everything, that had a connection, or has still a direct connection with God. And what were the lessons that he gave to us? If not lessons of love, of serving, of understanding, of humility. And when you reach a point that you know who you are and your true value, the opinion of the world doesn't matter anymore. And you have a purpose, a direction. And you go in this purpose and direction without allowing people that are still not there, to interfere in your march of ascension. But the best way to do that, or the only way to do that, is us fighting our inner adversaries and become friends with more evolved emotions, sentiments that are already brewing in us, but so many times we push them aside. Sometimes we want to say, oh, Zoraida, you look lovely today. I love your blouse. But then we refrain from saying that. And here, I mean, it's not about talking about the blouse, but it's talking about, saying something positive, demonstrating care towards a person. We have a tendency of burying this, even because sometimes we think we may be misinterpreted in our intentions. This showing of love, this showing of care, this appreciation to others, this appreciation to yourselves, paying attention, sometimes the battles that we go in our day-to-day lives, they are very lonely. right? You are the only one that know how much effort you had to do in order not to say something that was going to be hurtful to others. And there is no one next to you to applaud you and say, good one, you did great, right? Except your inner voice, your inner satisfaction. So we have to get used to, this appreciation of ourselves. Even if the world is not seeing, we can be sure that is reflecting in us. It reflects in the luminosity of our skin, our eyes, and most of all, the brilliance that each time more our spirit is going to acquire. Okay?
Jusara, I love what
Jusara.
you say.
Yes, Zoraida.
Yeah. That when it comes to family members, you try to do the best you can and give them examples or suggestions or advice. And yet, as much as you try, they put you in a terrible situation. And then I hope I am not being prideful because I have to explain certain things and they're not going to understand. But just like you said, we have to be alert and understand what's going on around us. And yes, we have this pride at times, but if you want to relate goodness and teach the good of love and understanding, but they don't understand, then I hope it's not pride that I'm going to say, I'm not doing this anymore because they're not listening and they don't understand. And I'm the one who's getting affected. So it's a very difficult thing when it comes to understand the difference of pride and to a point of showing this love and not get tangled in this pride. And I'm not, because I'm doing it out of love, and hopefully that is the right thing to do. I mean,
Zoraida, while you were thinking, I was thinking about planting a seed.
Yeah.
Right? Wisdom will let us know when the terrain is ready. We even have the parable about the seeds that fell in the among the thorns and in bad terrain, etc. So just throwing seeds out of throwing and saying, listen, look, I'm doing my part, right? it is not what this is about, right? Is knowing that, okay, I want to plant the seed, but the terrain is not good yet for it. It's not going to grow if I put it there. What can I do to make the terrain better? That is a big question. Sometimes it can be, let us allow the terrain itself to work it out. Or maybe I can start with a combination of, little by little, I put a little water to remove the dryness. I start with the fertilizer somehow. I mean, I don't garden, so forgive me if I'm going through a complete out of my ignorance what to do. But wisdom will tell us. I mean, if I want the seed to succeed, I have to know when the terrain is ready. So if there is something that I can do to speed up the process for the terrain to be better, I will do. Of course, metaphorically speaking, and in our senses, with our prayers, we can provide the nourishment, etc. But when it comes the time to give the knowledge, to provide the possibilities, that in this case is the seed, We have to know and not wasting our time, energy, and seeds, right? Because it's not going to grow just to say, oh no, I did it. Now it's their responsibility. I wash my hands. It's not that the purpose, okay? So there is wisdom as well in knowing when we have to take a step back and leave nature to take its course. And when we see that nature did what had to do, okay, I'll be ready to give my contribution. But sometimes, it's like that last spoon that you wanted to give the child, out of stubborn many times, because it's a fight between you and the child. The child saying, I don't want it anymore. You said, no, just this one, you have to have it. And unless you do it, you will feel like a failure. But come on, what is, one spoon going to make the difference if the child is nourished or not, right? So yeah, it's everything how we position ourselves.
Thank you, Usada. I understand. Thank you.